Hi, hello, namaskar, dosto. Welcome to this lesson 2 of the chapter The Living World. And here I'm Gaurav as your big brother taking your responsibility to make it complete this whole lesson. So, welcome to this video. I hope you all are good and healthy in your respective places. So, in today's lesson, I'm going to discuss about these topics. So, at first, I will discuss about the taxonomy and systematics. After that, I will discuss about concept of species and taxonomical hierarchy. At last, I will discuss about some tools for taxonomical study, that is the museum, zoo, herbaria, botanical garden, and all these things. So as usual, this lesson is also going to be a little bit long, so I request you all to please keep patience and watch this video till the end. Okay, so without wasting our time, let's get started. So at first I will discuss about the taxonomy and systematics. Okay, we easily can recognize groups such as plants or animals or dogs, cats and insect, all these things in our surrounding. Okay, so these things, that the dog, cat, mammals, wheat, rice, plants, animals, etc., these are the convenient category we use to study the organism. The scientific term for these categories we called is the taxa. I know here is a confusion will arise in your mind, that do we call the dog is a taxa, the cat is a taxa, is a mammals a taxa, wheat, rice, plants, animals, dogs, these are taxa. Yes, actually what happened, taxa is a generalized term which actually indicate the different level or different categories of the classification. Okay, so any level of the classification we term it as taxa. Okay, let me proceed. Here you must recognize that taxa can indicate categories at very different levels. Okay, plants also form a taxa. Wheat is also a taxa. Similarly, animals, mammals, dogs, all are taxa. But we know that a dog is a mammal and mammals are animals. Okay, individually dog, we can call that dog is a taxa, mammals are is a separate taxa, animals are taxa. Actually what happened, dog is included within the mammal and dog is also representing a category of the classification or a category or a level of classification. Mammal is individually indicating a category of level of classification. Animal is also indicating a category or a level of classification. Okay, so they are separately, they indicate a level of classification. Therefore we can say that animals, mammals, dogs represent taxa at different level. These are the taxa at different level. Okay, now let me proceed. Hence, based on the characteristics, all living organisms can be classified into different taxa based on the characteristics. Okay, so this process of classification is called the taxonomy, the process upon which we can classify the different animals into different groups, that is called taxonomy. Now we will discuss in details about taxonomy to understand what is actually the taxonomy is. Okay, now we will discuss about the basis of modern taxonomical studies. Which are the main basis of the modern taxonomical studies? Here I have mentioned some point, that the external and internal structure of the cell, the developmental process and the ecological information. Whenever there is a new organism has been identified, we go for their external and internal structure. We try to know their external and internal structure, their structure of cell, their developmental process and the ecological information. On the basis of this information we go for their classification. Okay, now we will go for the process of taxonomy. There are four step process of the taxonomy. The first step is the characterization. That means whenever there is a new organism has been identified, we go for their characterization. We try to note down what is their characteristics features. After that, we try to identify themselves, which class they actually belong. Okay, after that we go for their classification, and at last we go for their nomenclature. Okay, and nomenclature is the last step of the taxonomy, and whenever there is a particular scientific name has been established for a particular organism, it actually indicates their classification, their identification, and their characterization of that particular organism. Okay. Now what happened in early days, human beings need to find source for the basis of their needs, their food, clothing, shelter. So they used to classify the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom according to their use. Okay, human being always try to classify the different species, different organisms according to their use, their economical importance. Okay, now let me go to the next slide, that is systematics. Systematics comes from a Latin word, that is systema, which means organized arrangement of the organism. Okay, systematic means what does systematic mean? Systematic means the relationship between the different taxonomical categories. We already have discussed about the different taxonomical categories, the different taxonomy. So what is the relationship between the different taxonomical categories? This is the matter of concern of the systematics. Okay, systematics takes into account evolutionary relationship between the organism. We should remember this term, evolutionary relationship between the organism. Now let me go to the taxonomical hierarchy. This is also a very important point. Classification is not a single step process, okay, but it involves the hierarchy of steps in which each step represent a rank or category. Now we will go for the different taxonomical ranking, the different taxonomical categories, which we actually call the taxonomical hierarchy. Okay, since the category is a part of overall taxonomic arrangement, it is called the taxonomic category, and all categories together constitute the taxonomical hierarchy. Hierarchy means the different steps of the classification. Okay, we can compare the hierarchy with a stair. Okay, each category referred to as a unit of classification. Different category refers to a unit of classification, in fact represent a rank, and is commonly termed as the taxon. So we can say that different units or different rank of a taxonomical category, we can say them as a taxon. Okay, each taxonomical category denotes the rank. Each rank of taxon represent a unit of the classification. We can say taxon is a unit of the classification, and taxon is also the unit of the taxonomical hierarchy. At last, taxonomical groups or categories are distinct biological entities and not merely morphological aggregates. Okay, now let me proceed. Now we will come to know about the 7 taxonomical categories. We should remember the 7 taxonomical categories. At first, the kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Okay, so here I have mentioned a chart to easy remembering of these names. We must have to remember the first letter of this taxonomical classification, taxonomical categories. If we try to remember this, KPCOFGS, please try to memorize KPCOFGS. K stands for kingdom, P for phylum or division, C for class, O for order, F for family, G for genus, and S stands for species. Please try to remember, please note down this KPCOFGS, KPCOFGS. Okay, now let me come. Species is the lowest category. Species is the lowest category in the taxonomical hierarchy. Okay, now here we should think about how to place an organism in various category. When there is a new organism has been identified, so what we do actually, at first we go for the basic requirement is the knowledge of character of that individual or group of the organism. Okay, we should have the knowledge of the character. At first we go for the characterization. What are the different characteristics of that newly identified organism? After that we go for their identification. Okay, at first characterization, after that identification. Identification means to find out similarities and dissimilarities with the existing early species, early organisms, we already know about them. Okay. Identification is the similarities and dissimilarities among the individuals of same kind of organism. Okay, so with the basis of the identification, when we will find something similarities and dissimilarities with the existing known, with the known existing organisms, then we can classify themselves into different taxonomical hierarchy. Okay, after that classification, so what are the different steps? At first we get characterization, after that identification, after that the classification, and lastly we go for the nomenclature. We already have discussed about four process of the taxonomy. So here now we will discuss about the species. Okay, so species are a group of living organisms consisting of similar individuals capable of exchanging genes or inbreeding, or we can say they can perform reproduction among themselves. In another concept, we can say that species are, one can distinguish one species from the other species on the basis of their morphological characteristics. Okay, actually what happened, I will discuss in details about the species when I will discuss after some time, when I will discuss about the different concept of the species. For now, let me come to the genus. Genus is the group of related species which has more character in common in comparison to the species of the other genera. Okay, each genus may have one or more than one specific epithet representing different organisms but having morphological similarities. What do we mean by the genus? Genus means the group of species there which have similar characteristics. They are similar in the morphological basis. Now let me take an example. If we go for Solanum tuberosum, that is potato, the Solanum melongena, that is brinjal, and Solanum nigrum, that is makoi, if we go for their morphological characteristics, we find that they are morphologically similar. That means in the basis of their leaf, stem, their root, on the basis of the leaf, stem, root, they are similar. So we can classify themselves within the same genus, that is the Solanum. Okay, now let me come to another part, that is the family. What is family? Family stands for groups of the related genus, still less number of similarities are compared to the genus and species. Now please try to understand this. Family means a group of genus which have similar characteristics, but these characteristics are less prominent than the similarities found between the individuals of the same genus or species. I think you have understand. Okay, now let me take an example, like Solanum, Petunia and Datura are included in the same family, that is the Solanaceae. Now let me come to the order. Order means group of related families which will still less number of similarities are as compared to the family, genus, species. Similarly, what does it mean? This means that order is a group of the family which have some similar characteristics, but these similar characteristics are less similar, or we can say less prominent as compared to the individuals of the same family, genus or species. I think you understand. Okay, if we take an example that the family like Convolvulaceae and Solanaceae are included in the order Polemoniales. Okay, now let me come to the class. Similarly, class is the organisms related orders have less similarities than the order. Okay, now go to the division. Similarly, all organisms belonging to the different classes having less similarities than order. Okay, now let me go to the very important thing. This is a very important point. You should be attentive in this time. Okay, because this is the concept of the species. Who proposed this concept of the species? We must remember the name of the scientist John Ray, who have proposed the concept of the species, the term concept of the species. Okay, he have discussed about this concept of the species in his book Historia Generalis Plantarum. We must remember the name of the book. There are two concepts of the species. At first, this is the biological concept of the species, and another one is the taxonomical concept of the species. Now I will discuss one by one. At first, the biological concept of the species. The scientist Sir Ernest Mayr who have proposed the biological concept of the species. Now what is the statement of the biological concept of the species given by Ernest Mayr? We must should remember, all members that can interbreed among themselves and can produce fertile offspring are the member of the same species. So for being a species, 2 points must should be noted. At first, they can interbreed among themselves. Another point, they must should produce fertile offspring. Fertile offspring they must should produce, because interspecific, when we will go for any crossbreeding program between two different species, there will be a resulting crossbreeding species which is reproductively they are infertile. If we take an example, if we go for a crossbreeding program among the horse and donkey, the crossbreed will come mule, and everybody we know that the mule is infertile in nature. Okay, so now we will come to know about a drawback of this biological concept of the species, that is the definition is incomplete, because there is many organisms that have only asexual mode of the reproduction. Asexual mode of the reproduction, there are so many, like bacteria, mycoplasma, they don't have any sexual route of they don't have any sexual method of reproduction. So in case of bacteria, mycoplasma, this biological concept of species come to fail. Okay, now let me go to the another concept, that is the taxonomic concept of the species. In taxonomic concept of the species, determination of the species is based on morphological characteristics. We must remember this point. Here morphological characteristics, in that case we find this is the reproductive characteristics. Okay, now let me come. According to the taxonomic concept of the species, if two have same morphological characters, then it is called the taxonomic species. Now let me take an example. The cauliflower, if you see the cauliflower, cabbage, nolkhol, these three plants have same morphological. They are morphologically same. If we go for their root, plant stem, root, stem and leaves, we see they are morphologically similar. So we can say that they belonging to the same taxonomical species. Note that I am not saying that they are included in the same species. They are morphologically similar. That does not mean they are considered in the same species, but they are morphologically similar, so they are considered in the same taxonomical species, not only species. They are considered in the same taxonomical species. So this is the concept of the taxonomical concept of the species. Now let me come to the modern concept of the species in case of plants. Okay, in case of the higher plants, the determining characteristics, the determining measure is the basis of the morphology of the flower. We go for the determination of the species is mainly based on the morphology of the flower. Okay, when we will go in future, when we will come to know about the chapter of the morphology of the flowering plant, when we will study about the different families of the flowering plants, then we will come to know that the flowering plants are classified on the basis of their flower characteristics, morphology of the flower. Why the morphology of the flower is considered? Actually, the floral characteristics are more conservative as compared to the vegetative characteristic, that is the root, stem and leaf. Okay, we must remember the reproductive characteristics or the floral characteristics, they are more prominent and they are more conservative in nature. They don't change in they less change in the evolutionary process. There is less change of these floral characteristics in the evolutionary process. Okay, now let me discuss about the different tools of the taxonomical study, that is the taxonomical aids. Okay, so at first the herbarium or dry garden. Okay, so herbarium are, if we go for the size, actually herbarium are the storehouse of collected plant specimens that are dried, pressed and preserved on a sheet. We must should remember this point that herbarium is the collection of the dried plant, okay, dried, pressed and preserved on the sheet. Okay, if we go for the size, NCERT says that the size of the herbarium is, the length is approximately 16.5 inches and the breadth is 11.5 inch. Okay, every herbarium used to carry a label which provide information about the date and place of the collection, local name, botanical name, etc. That means if there is a label which will include every information of that plant. At last, the NCERT says that the herbarium is a quick referral system. You must remember this term, quick referral system. Now let me go to the botanical garden. Botanical gardens are the collection of the living plants for reference. Plant species are grown for identification purpose and each plants are labeled separately indicating its botanical name, scientific name, its family and all informations provided. Okay, so botanical garden is the storehouse of living plant, but the herbarium is the storehouse of the dead plant. We must should know this differentiating points between the botanical garden and the herbarium. Now let me come to that some important points. That is the largest botanical garden in the world, that is the Kew, that is situated in the Kew in England. Largest botanical garden in the India, that is the Indian Botanical Garden present in the Howrah. We must should remember these 2 points because so many times question has been asked. Okay, another botanical garden you try to remember the name, National Botanical Research Institute present in the Lucknow. It is also present in the India. Now let me go to the museum. Okay, museums are set up in a school or college. Museums are set up only in school or college. These are the collection of plants and animals preserved in a solution or as a dry specimen. We can preserve the different plants and animals in a museum as in the dry form, or we can preserve them in a preservation solution. Okay, insects are preserved in insect box after collecting, killing and pinning. Sometimes birds and mammals are starved and preserved also. We must should remember that skeletons are also preserved inside the museum. Okay, now let me go to the another. This is the zoological park. Many of us has so many times visited the different zoos and national park and all these things, so we know what is the zoological park. Wild animals are kept in a protected environment under the human care, that is the zoological park. It actually help us to know their habitat and behavior. Zoological park help us to know their habitat and behavior of the different animals. Okay, zoological park provide a zoological park actually provide a condition similar to their natural environment. Okay, we will come to know two terms, that is the ex situ preservation and the in situ preservation in the chapter when we will go for the ecology and ecosystem in the class 12. Then we will come to know in details discussion about what is zoological park, what is national park and what is the biodiversity hotspot and all these things. Okay, now let me come to a very important thing. This concept you must should remember, the concept of key. What is key? Key is used for the identification of plants and animals based on the similarities and dissimilarities. Okay, let me explain. Key is a particular character, or we can say a particular statement on the basis of which we make the classification, we make the differentiation between two different organisms. Okay, keys are based on the contrasting characters, generally in a pair called the couplet. I will discuss with an example. It represents the choice made between two opposite options. This results in acceptance of only one and rejection of the other. Now let me take an example. Here let me differentiate between apes and human. So if we differentiate between apes and human, if we go for their body posture, apes have a bent body posture but human have a body posture that is erect in nature. So here body posture is a key and here the two differentiating character, that is the pair or couplet, that is the bend and the erect. These are the two differentiating characters. Okay, here each statement of a couplet is called in a key is called the lead. Each statement. So in case of ape and human, differentiation between ape and human, what is the lead? The lead is the body posture is bent or erect. We on the basis of this question, the body posture is bent or erect, we can differentiate between apes and human. Okay, so here the key is the body posture. As usual, if we go for the brain size, ape have a less brain size or less brain capacity, that is approximately 400 cubic centimeter, but human have a large brain capacity, that is approximately 1300 cubic centimeter. So here the key is brain size, and two differentiating couplet, or here the two couplet is the small brain size and the large brain size. Okay, so that's all about the key. Another point to be noted that separate taxonomic keys are required for each taxonomic categories such as genus, species, family for their identification purpose. Okay, keys are generally analytical in nature. Always the keys are generally analytical in nature. So here I have complete discussion of the taxonomical aids. So now I have completed the whole chapter. Now you are free to read the any books. You can go through the NCERT or you can go through any standard book. After that you should go through the different MCQs. Okay, you please go for the question answer. After that, if you find any difficulty, you please ask me in the comment section. I will answer of your every questions between 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. every afternoon. Okay, between 4 to 5 p.m. I will answer your any question in my comment section. Okay, if you want to know, if you have any query about my upcoming lessons, you can join the Telegram group, that the link has been provided in the description below. So you please go through that link and you can join me in the Telegram group so that you can get update of my upcoming lessons. Okay, so I hope you all enjoy this lesson. Please stay positive, stay safe in your home. Thank you so much.